first off, what are your thoughts on the movie? How did you feel about it the first time you saw it?
Well, I lived it,
Yeah.
and those are my parents. So that's a tough question because it's just the way that I grew up. My father made sure, and my mom, that I had a very normal childhood. A lot of the speculation is that I had this wild childhood, but I really didn't, because my parents did a great job of keeping me focused on my swimming, and I wasn't like, in the casinos in the thick of it, so to speak. So my dad was just always a really great father, and focused on me just, doing swimming and going to school like any other kid. So I really didn't understand the magnitude of my father until the movie came out in 1995.
Yeah.
And that's when I had more questions, and I guess where I really tried to understand who he was. I did know growing up as a kid that he had to be powerful or important, because I had so many people walking up to me on the pool deck making comments to me like, your dad's a this and he's a that. And so as a kid, I did ask him a few questions about what he did for a living and so forth, but really didn't understand quite how big he was until my early 20s.
Percentage-wise, what would you say the movie is accurate in terms of what actually happened?
I think that Robert De Niro did a great job. He portrayed my father very well. His mannerisms were uncanny. He spent a lot of time with my father, though. Yeah, so he would fly into, Florida and spend a lot of time with my father in his home, studying him and trying to perfect his character. He went to the restaurant that my father owned and spent quite a bit of time there. And I also worked there, so I was there for that and kind of saw all that going on. But when I did watch the movie, it was gave me the goosebumps to see how well he
nailed that role.
Yeah, he just his mannerisms, the way he stood and how he oversaw things, and the way he looked at things, the way he folded his arms. It was just kind of gave me the chills when I watched that. So I think he did a great job. Sharon Stone didn't have the same opportunity that De Niro had because my mom is deceased. So I would say that she did the best with the information she had, and I think most of that came from my father. So she was trying to, act out, my mother, but having never met her or not knowing a lot about her.
At that time, do you feel like your father gave an accurate representation of your mother and the mannerisms and how she acted, or do you feel that there was a lot of it that wasn't seen or represented properly by?
I'm sure my father was always accurate, like to the T. I'm sure he was very accurate, and what the director Martin Scorsese wanted to portray, and Universal Studios is a different story,
right? Because
they want to sell movie tickets, so it's always going to be embellished. We all know that.
Sure.
So I get asked that question all the time about my mom. She wasn't quite as the movie depicted her to be. My mom was amazing and didn't have quite the habits that she's, shown to have in the movie. But that's Hollywood, so
that's showbiz.
Yeah, that's show business.
How do you feel Sharon Stone did as an actress in that role? Did you feel like she not necessarily accurately representing your mother, but just being that character? How do you feel like she did?
I think she did a great job. Yeah, I know that the clothes from the movie were very important. Like, I think she dressed very well and dressed similar to my mom. And personality-wise, I think my mom had a little bit different personality than Sharon Stone did, but I think she did a great job.
Did you see the movie as soon as it came out, or did you take a little time to get yourself ready for it?
I just watched the movie a couple days ago.
For the first time?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I have so many more questions now. That's incredible. I had no idea.
Yeah.
First off, why? Why did I mean, with the obvious answer being it probably hurt, it hits close to home for you, obviously. But why?
Yeah, I mean, I was very, very close to my father. I was like his best friend, so I know everything about the guy.
Yep.
I feel like I've heard it firsthand. There's also topics that my dad isn't going to talk to a lady about, and
Sure.
I'm a lady. So, you know, that's reserved for conversations like Polly or Alan. That's boys chatter.
Yeah.
So, but I think that, I guess, I think I'm very grounded. I am very impressed by my dad, and I always knew he was a fascinating person. I took in everything that he ever tried to teach me, and he was really big on that. Like, you know, his whole goal with me was he wanted me to be able to navigate life without him.
Yeah.
And so I think everyone knows, like, my dad's a street smart guy. Book smart, yes, he was incredibly bright. But if he's going to teach anybody anything, it's going to be about how to live on the streets.
Yep.
And that's what he taught me. So I think that's more important than anything. You know, my dad was just like a great education for me. And he was just an amazing dad. He put a lot of time into me. And really just wanted to make sure that when he checked out, you know, I was good.
Yeah.
So as
He made
far
you
as
priority.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as watching the movie, I felt like it was all right in front of my face, like my entire life. And I've seen clips of the movie before a couple of days ago. Some of them I like, some of them I don't like. But Alan, our mutual friend, said, because he's a good friend of mine, he said, you know, did you watch the movie? And I thought, oh, I better go watch it. So, so I watched it,
Yep.
you know, yeah, it's like, I mean, it's a great movie, you know, but like I said, there's certain scenes I don't like
Yep.
that I don't want to look at.
Sure.
So, you know, he is my father and I am his daughter. So certain things that, you know, certain records I don't want to play back, but.
How was your dad's reaction to the movie?
My dad was a businessman, so I mean, my dad was also, I think, grounded, very grounded. He knew his stuff about gaming and sports handicapping and betting, but my dad just wanted to make money no matter what. So I don't think that I don't think he was quite as impressed as maybe everybody else
The
was.
general public was, yeah.
It was, for him, it was just like, you know, how much money are you going to pay me to do this? So
What does it take to have that mindset? Is that something that you feel like you're born with, to have that mindset of just being so focused and honed in on one specific thing? Like your dad, for example, very street smart, very book smart, but really honed in on being able to make money. Do you feel like that's something that's acquired, or is that just something you're born with that just kind of is part of you the whole life?
no, I think you're born with that.
Yeah.
And I think it's, you know, we're Jewish. I'm very culturally Jewish, not necessarily very religious, but there's always a joke amongst the Jews that, like, as far as the men go, like, people will say that the Jews don't know how to dance, but they can own the dance club. So
I never heard that. I like that.
So, you know, they don't need to know how to dance,
Yeah.
you know. So, no, I think you're born with that. I think that's an innate quality. And everyone in my family's like that.